What?
What up, sports fans all over the world? It's your boy, MacDaGiantsFan, here with my guys, the Horsemen, Adam Costas, Zion Zenith, and of course our guy, the one and only NYG Jeffy T, always looking down upon us. This is the Premium Takes Podcast. Let's go. What is going on out there, everybody, man? How y'all fellas doing today, man? Everything been going, man, since the last time we all spoke, which is actually a couple minutes ago.
Well, they don't even
How
know
y'all doing?
that. Since the last show when we spoke, I'm doing good. I'm doing well, thanks.
Absolutely fired up. What's up, everybody? Thank you for being in the chat. What's up, Bills? Good evening to you too, my fellas. I'm just happy to be here.
What's up,
Be here with you
Wells?
guys. Great, wonderful host, and obviously great, wonderful fam that's watching. Salute to you guys. Let's get it another Friday night. Talking football, talking basketball, talking sports. Let's get it.
I don't know if you guys, we got Wells in the chat too, by the way. If you guys seen the video that his wife put together for us when we were at MetLife Stadium, I don't know if you guys had a chance to take a look at it, but it's really dope, man. Great
I
work
did not see it.
done by Mrs. Wales right there, man. Yeah, it's
Definitely
dope,
got to go
man.
check it out. Definitely got to go check it out.
I'll send me the
Most
link
definitely,
or
man.
link it
But
up for me.
Absolutely.
I
I'd
got
love
you,
to see
man.
it. We're us old heads. We want to be like the young cats. We just want it instantaneously sometimes.
We want it instantly.
But let's get right to it, man. I mean, I don't know. I'm just gonna get right into it. Everything tonight, man. We're gonna start off slightly different than the usual. We're gonna go instead of talking about the game. We're gonna talk about things that happened in the game last night. Two big major injuries coming last night and Thursday night football, man. Two key player on each team sideline for what looks like going to be the remainder of the 2023 season. Unfortunately, see how this thing could impact these two squads going forward, man. Cincinnati Bengals obviously losing franchise Joe Burrow for the year, and they're going to be under some investigation for some, looking like some, maybe foul play with with not reporting Joe Burrow on the injury report last week. But that's another story. That's something a little something different. Unfortunately, he will be out for the remainder of the season with some torn ligaments in his wrist. And Mark Andrews also suffering a season-ending injury with his, I believe, ankle, something with his lower leg or something last night as well. Unfortunately, it looks like he will be out for the remainder of the year as well, man. How do you think these injuries impact these two teams, man, as the season starts to wind down, fellas?
Go ahead, Adam.
Well, first off, I can't catch a break this year. As you guys know, my second favorite team is the Bengals, and both my giant quarterback is out, but no one's losing any sleep over that. And Joe Burrow is now going to be out, which now I'm losing sleep over. And if I'm the Bengals, I'm losing sleep over because that's your franchise guy. As Joe Burrow said, as long as I'm out there, we have a chance. Well, they fell to 5-5, and here's the problem with that. You don't have a quarterback back here. What have I been saying since day one? You need to have a good backup quarterback. Why? For reasons like this. You look at the Colts. They brought in Gardner Minshew. Is he the greatest quarterback in the world? No. But does he do their offense and fit their offense correctly? Yes. You see Joshua Dobbs moved them three different teams. Is keeping the Minnesota Vikings relevant again. Bengals have a guy that has barely played any football, is clearly a rookie or a young player that they hardly had reps in training camp, obviously, but not enough with the team. So for me, that injury is going to be huge. I think it knocks them out of the playoffs unless they sign a Joe Flacco or a guy like that. But he might be going to the Browns, another AFC North team that has an injury, and I'm sure we'll touch on them in a minute. But then on the other side, Mark Andrews, broken fibula, ankle ligaments damage. The tackle obviously is tough. to watch, but it's hard because how are defenders supposed to tackle people these days? You know what I mean? It's going to be one of those rules where, yes, it has no place in the game, just like the horse collar tackle. But at some point, we're going to just have to put flags on people because we won't be able to tackle, right? You can't hit a guy in his knees. You can't hit him when he's crouching, trying to protect himself. So then you hit him in the head or you hit him somewhere else. You're losing strike zones very quickly. And I'm not saying to not ban this play, but I think it has to be one of those ones where, if it's you can't foul everyone because not everyone's going to be hurt, but also you gotta figure out the line that we're going to walk. Obviously, Mark Andrews is a big part of that offense. They scored a lot of points without him. I think he's the driving force of that offense. When Mark Andrews is in the game, Lamar Jackson looks a lot better. He has an outlet. He feels safe because no matter what, I guess I don't know if he ever. This is just me speculating, but I wouldn't be surprised if he told him one day, like, "Listen, man, when I scramble, just sit in the middle of the field. I'll find you. I'll throw it to you, and you'll get first downs and break tackles and things like that." He won't have that security blanket anymore going forward. I think they have a lot of other weapons. Nelson Aguilar stepping up. Odell Beckham Jr. had a renaissance game. And they had Bateman scored a couple touchdowns, and not to mention Zay Flowers, who's absolutely electric out there right now. So they have, and Lamar Jackson, who's playing out of their mind, right? That Ravens team is cooking. I think the loss of Burrow is a lot worse than the loss of Mark Andrews. In the grand scheme of things, they both hurt because they both are big parts of the offense for both teams. But if I had to say which one is worse for me, I can survive Mark Andrews. I can't survive losing Joe Burrow.
Absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. Before I begin, if you can pull up Bill's comment, that's the Big Blue Crew tailgate. The Warriors was out there. Big Blue Crew members was out there celebrating the celebration of the life of Jeffrey, our man. So base believe. Make sure you guys click on that when you guys have the time. If you guys click on that, add it to your favorites to watch later. Come back and tune in. We appreciate you guys. That is the Big Blue Crew, at MetLife Stadium versus the Jets. What's up, Daniel? Thank you so much for being here. Let's get it. Absolutely. Thank you, Bills. I didn't watch too much of football this weekend, but what I did watch is a very little bit. I did tune into this game. Last night I seen the injury to Mark Andrews and then the almost injury to Lamar Jackson that could have plagued them even more. Adam wrapped up Mark Andrews pretty perfectly. I'm not gonna lay in too much on that. Obviously, people's gonna have to step up. We'll see if OBJ can continue down the path that the resurgence that he's on. Currently one game. Let's see how that goes. Speaking of Joe Burrow, he started the season, injured. Obviously washed, kind of looking sloppy. He got it together, and then this happens. Will he be back for the Bengals to make a playoff run? Probably, but with teams like the Chiefs, with teams like the Buffalo Bills, with teams like Miami still lingering around there, it's going to be hard to really take the Bengals serious without Joe Burrow there. And even if, even I'm just assuming they make the playoffs, but I can't assume that they could easily miss the playoffs because they still have a tough conference with a tough division. But that being said, it is going to hurt them. It sucks for being a Bengals fan. It does suck. I do agree with Adam. I believe he mentioned that this is a bigger loss for the Bengals, and I do agree on that. Hopefully they can pull it together, but especially in the AFC, both teams in the AFC. But when you lose a guy like Mark Andrews, you got a veteran head coach that can scheme around him, but when you lose a franchise quarterback like Joe Burrow out for, it seems to be the rest of the regular season, but maybe we'll see how fast he heals. Maybe it might be only 4 weeks, but we'll see what happens. That being said, I'm just dragging this on. I'm going to turn the mic over to Mac. Thank you. Let's get it.
Well, you guys hit on everything for the most part, but thing with the Mark Andrews injury, I think that injury, you won't really see how much it truly affects the Ravens until we get to the postseason action. Mark Andrews is that safety valve for Lamar Jackson. I mean, everything looked pretty okay last night. They weathered the storm. I mean, Odell Beckham came to life like Adam mentioned earlier, Zay Flowers, like you said, is an electric young wide receiver in the league. So he's got some nice weapons to still kind of keep their head above the water. They'll probably still hang on win that division. Still probably the best team in the division, one of the better teams in the AFC conference for sure. But at the end of the day, when you get to the postseason, that's when you'll really see the impact that Mark Andrews' injury will have when Lamar gets those those tough matchups and Lamar Jackson is looking for that guy that guy he can depend on, which is usually Mark Andrews in the big crucial third down, and he won't have him out there. I mean, the kid Isaiah, he's not terrible. He's a good serviceable tight end, obviously, but he's not Mark Andrews, and I think that's when you see the Mark Andrews injury more or less when you get into the January months, when you get into those postseason. Like I said, Lamar Jackson looking for that his most dependable pass catcher and a guy he can really rely on in the clutch. However, the Joe Burrow injury devastates the Cincinnati Bengals team. They turned the season kind of around. They've gotten things back on track. They were looking like they were headed, something very very good, something special, and now this kind of probably will derail their season. To be quite frank, I mean, let's just face it. They are in a very tough division, one of the best divisions in football, and it's going to be tough. And this kind of opens that door for like a Pittsburgh Steelers, a well-coached team with Mike Tomlin, led by Mike Tomlin at the helm, coaching that team. This kind of reopens the door for them a little bit. Even though right now the standings are sitting with Pittsburgh in second place in the division anyway, but now with Cincinnati was playing, like it was only a matter of time before they were going to come and overtake that and probably push Baltimore for the division title. But with Joe Burrow out, I think you can forget that. Cancel Christmas on that for sure. It's just not. They're not going to be the same team without Burrow. I mean, Joey Brown, whatever this guy's name is, I can't even remember this dude's name last night who came in, but he's no Joe Burrow. He clearly showed he was no Joe Burrow. This team loses a lot with the franchise quarterback. Like you said, just can't replace a guy like Joe Burrow. I mean, he's one of the special guys at the position. That's why he got paid the way he did this offseason. You see what he means to the Cincinnati Bengals offense, and you just can't replace that kind of production, man. And it's going to be tough for the Bengals going forward. And it's unfortunate because you look a week ago. It's only been about a week or so ago where a guy like Carson Wentz was still available. I mean, even somebody like that would have been probably a good maybe somebody to come and just kind of hold your season together. I mean, I think Carson Wentz would have been capable of coming in here, getting the ball to Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd and guys of that nature. But unfortunately, he's off the market as the Rams pounced on him early a couple weeks ago already. So it's really not a lot out there left, man. I don't know. I mean, you were mentioning some names like Joe Flacco's and stuff like that, but I'm not sure, man, if even that would be good enough to hold things together. Cincinnati right now, guys like that. I just Jake Browning, that's what this dude's name is. Jake Browning. Yeah, he's just they better figure out something because Jake Browning is not it. He's not going to be the guy that's going to take them. That's going to be able to take them where they need to be. And it's unfortunate, but like you said earlier, Adam, we can also segue a little bit into that division, man. Had a tough week, man. As you know, the Cleveland Browns also lost Deshaun Watson for the remainder of the season as well, man. Getting shoulder surgery. Finally just decided to shut him down, get surgery that he clearly needs on that shoulder to get it right again. But what you do? I think it even means for like a guy like Deshaun Watson. It's been a tough couple of years, obviously, with the suspension and just the play was just been kind of a slow coming back, trying to get back to form. He hasn't really got back to that Houston Texans form. He hasn't really shown that in Cleveland yet, and now he gets once again, season gets derailed with yet another season-ending injury. What do you think? I think that means for Deshaun Watson's future and Cleveland Browns right now going forward as well.
Well, I think they'll look for him to be healthy before they do anything. He probably will be on the team next year. He has a lot of talent. I don't know why it's not working right now in terms of the offense. I don't know if he's in his own head, if he's just beat up, if he's Cleveland does that to people. It just is not a place you want to go. But we'll see. It's interesting to me that they're not going with PJ Walker and they're going with DTR, who I happen to like. Dorian Thompson-Robinson, UCLA quarterback, 6th-round pick, mentored by Aaron Rodgers. He has some skill set. He is a bit electric. Was a preseason sensation, but the one game he did get to play in, he was horrible. So it's interesting to see what they're going to do. They did bring in Joe Flacco, so I don't know if they're going to try to sign him. I think it's going to be a play it by ear type basis with Dorian Thompson-Robinson. But it's interesting to see how they're a team in the playoff hunt, got a Super Bowl caliber defense, and they are going to start a rookie quarterback to see what he can bring to the table as opposed to PJ Walker, who's not great, but serviceable enough to probably keep that team afloat at least. So if you're Giant fans, you got to think the same way. If you're a losing team, you should start your quarterback as well just to see what you got. This is a 6th-round pick. If he can keep the chains moving, and I think he'll be a heavy dose of Akeem Hunt, I would pick him up on your fantasy team because it's probably a lot of carries. But if he can keep the down and distance to a third and manageable, he could be a serviceable guy for them. Their defense will win them games, keep them in games. Obviously, this is a blow because you need a quarterback to go up against Mahomes and those guys, and they still have a pulse in the playoffs. So we'll see how this does. I feel bad for the Browns. I feel bad for the Bengals because you have the 4 teams have a legit shot to be in the Super Bowl. Literally, that's how good they all are at times. So, Deshaun Watson, I don't know if his career is over with the Browns, but it's kind of weird how it happened. No, he can't play. Yes, he can play. Now surgery, no surgery. Something's going on over there in Cleveland, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's traded away at some point.
Got any thoughts on the Cleveland situation, Zion?
Yeah, well, wonderfully said, Adam. What's up, Raphael? Thank you for joining us tonight. Salute to you, my brother. Let's get it. It's sad, man, because like at the end of the day, like this guy was like, there was a good quarterback coming out. He led nobody really on his team, Texans, to the playoffs. And then the whole thing happened with his case, and then the injuries. And I honestly feel like it's been a letdown. I try to give him the benefit of the doubt. I try to say like he's going to come in big this year. He's going to be in the top 5 in stats at the end of the season. And for the past 5 years actually, we haven't really got that. You know what I'm saying? 7 seasons in the league, only 2 good seasons, and we all know what his ceiling can be. We all seen it. You know what I'm saying? We all have like we all tasted it. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, like it's kind of like a mirage. You know what I'm saying? It sucks. It sucks on the Browns. They just seem they can't get the quarterback. They can never get it right. As soon as they get like a defense that Adam said could easily compete for a Lombardi, they don't have a quarterback now. And it's just gonna delay them a couple of seasons because I feel like honestly in my hearts of heart I honestly feel like it is over for Deshaun Watson and the Cleveland Browns. It is going to be trade bait, and they're going to see what they have on roster, evaluate the quarterbacks. Obviously, they only have really one DTR out of UCLA. But that being said, it is a quarterback heavy draft next year. So I honestly think, I don't know how his contract's looking, but I could see him being traded. And I don't even know if I'll be lying to you if still at this point I would want a rookie quarterback because I was gonna say like I wouldn't mind like getting Deshaun Watson here on the Giants, but at the end of the day, no. I've seen him. I don't think we're gonna get what we have at Texans, and I honestly think he's gonna be these injuries are gonna hurt his career, and who knows? I hope I'm wrong. I hope he can have a revival career like Geno Smith did, but I honestly think it's not going to be like that for Deshaun, and it sucks because he was special and he was one of the special ones. We lost Andrew Luck, and now it looks like Deshaun Watson is on that path. But let's see what Mac has to say. Go right ahead.
No, I mean, well, with Deshaun Watson, it'll be hard. He's not. It wouldn't be easy to move him via trade because between his contract and just based off of what he's been putting on the field here lately, it's just who's going to want to take that on right now. I mean, currently, I think honestly, it goes back to just a suspension, man. That long time off. I mean, he was off for practically what 2 whole seasons, basically. I mean, just about basically, yeah, pretty much 2 whole seasons. So it's like that's just a lot of time off, man, for a player to come back out and flip that switch and turn it back on. It just is. In the National Football League, it is. The game keeps rolling. You know what I mean? And you miss that kind of time, it's hard to get your legs back under you the same way. I know it's like the Cleveland Browns are just like you said, they're just snake bitten when it comes to this quarterback position. It seems like, but it's unfortunate for them. I mean, like you said, the defense is good enough to probably keep them afloat. They possibly can still make a potential postseason run here, man, just based off how great that defense does play. But they're gonna have to figure something out at the quarterback position. And looks like who know. I mean, I don't know if I can't say I don't know if I'd say Deshaun Watson's played his last game in Cleveland. Obviously, 'cause like I said, based off of like I said, his contract, it'd be hard to move him. But at the end of the day, they're gonna have to figure something out the rest of this season without him, for sure. And so Cleveland just it's unfortunate. It's like every time it just looks like it's like you got it right. It's still just everything seems to go wrong. Unfortunately, man, that's just life as a Cleveland Brown, man. That's just how it goes for that franchise, unfortunately. But they do have the defense that can probably hopefully keep them in the games as long as they get competent quarterback play. Doesn't have to be great, doesn't have to be sensational, just competent. Look like an NFL quarterback out there, whoever it is. This that might be good enough still to hold things down and maybe at least sneak up in the playoffs and possibly make some noise still, a little bit of noise. But I think it's just a tough break for the Cleveland Browns, Cincinnati Bengals. These teams, this tough breaks losing their franchise guys like this for the remainder of the season. It's been a tough year league wide. I mean, that's how many now quarterbacks have just been down league wide this year. A lot of backups. We've seen a lot of backup quarterbacks playing this year. I mean, all around the league, man. It's just been one of those crazy seasons, man. Honestly, and I blame it on some of the rules, man. Guys are playing too. I think guys are playing too tight, honestly, because all these like, especially defensively, all these weird rules defensively, man. It's just guys are just let the guys play loose again. Stop thinking about how I got to tackle a person, how I got to do this, how I got to do that. Just let them play, man. Let them play football. Let them be free again, man. I'm trying to tell you, man. Some of this stuff does affect these injuries as well, man. Guys are getting in their own head and they're doing some of this stuff to their own self, man. Unfortunately, man. But one more thing, quick, going back to Cincinnati with the Joe Burrow thing. How do you guys feel about them kind of maybe leaving him off the injury report, even though there were reports of him getting off the on traveling with the wrist brace on already, so thinking there was already damage to that wrist and he should have been on the injury report. Now they are being investigated for that. How do you guys feel about that?
I think it comes down to just we've seen it with the Dolphins and how they evaluated Tua with his concussion. It comes down to the individual staffs of these teams, and I'm gonna take this time to talk about the PA because I think that the survey came out about rating these facilities and some of these facilities, there's high schools like that was getting way better equipment, high school players than these actual NFL players, and it just comes down to I'm not calling the Cincinnati Shetty One organization, but we know there's some Shetty One organizations in the National Football League, and I just feel like it comes down to individual doctors. So I don't really I don't really want to speak too much of it because I'm not too sure. But I know like when it comes to MetLife and then when it comes to the care centers around the New York metropolitan area, New Jersey, wherever they play, I know we have some of the best doctors in the nation catering for the New York Giants and working for the New York Giants, and for other teams that just may not be the case. And then in other words, there is a lot of interns, a lot of new staffing that takes place year in and year out. So maybe it could be a key miss, and maybe someone said he's good when he wasn't good. But it's a whole lot of things, that details that go into evaluating these players. And we do have to remember that these are all 32 different clubs that do have their own private people that do work for them, and then there's the NFL that has their doctors. So we'll see how this investigation plays out and what they find. Go ahead, Adam.
Well,
Adam.
all medical teams are different. And if this was an injury in football, the only reason you put him on the injury report is so Vegas line doesn't change. Right? He practiced fully. He did everything. Now, if he wasn't practicing fully and he didn't practice all week and he was limited or something like that, it'd be different, right? Just because he's wearing a brace doesn't mean he didn't play in the game, right? So it's not like they're hiding anything. He practiced fully. Now, if they said that he practiced fully, but that someone's going to come out and say that he didn't practice fully, he didn't take any reps, that's when they'll have a problem. But going into the game, they didn't anticipate his wrist being sprained or tearing a ligament or whatever doing that. I mean, who knows what he was doing? If he was in grade school, they'd have a joke why his hand's injured, but we'll keep it civilized here, so we won't go down that rabbit hole. But I just unless he was limited or they didn't put him on the practice report, I don't think this is going to be as big a deal as people make it out to be, because he can play. The whole point about the injury report is to let you know that he practiced on a limited basis. Whatever limited basis that is, it is what it is. If he fully practiced, took all the reps, had no pain, or had pain but just didn't say anything, then for all Vegas knows, he's playing, which he did, and then he went out during the game. So I think it's trying to build something to more than it's being. If he did get injured, you're allowed to wear a brace and play through it, but no one has to quote unquote know unless he didn't practice fully. So I don't think it's an issue. Now people are saying it is an issue because some guy lost money on Vegas. Well, you didn't lose money. He started the game. He got injured in the game. Maybe you would have voted differently had you seen him on the injury report. But let's be honest. If you saw him limited in practice, are you really not going to vote for him, right, without knowing a disclosed wrist injury? Come on. I think it was one of those freaky things that happened, and he just happened to be caught wearing a brace.
Well, we'll see, man. Because that's what they're putting the big emphasis on. They're putting emphasis on the fact that he was seen with the brace on, which would symbolize that the team knew that he was dealing with something. And then he goes out there in the game on Thursday night, and sure enough, before halftime when this happened? Before halftime, I believe. Yeah, I think it was. He goes down with the injury that now turns out to be a season-ending injury. He couldn't even grip the damn football.
I mean, why? So, let me ask you this:
I don't know.
If you're investigating Joe Burrow, why aren't you investigating the Giants for putting back in Daniel Jones and not having any doctor check his knee? I'm just saying. You're laughing at me, but the situation's the same. If he is playing in the game and he's wearing a brace, what does it fucking matter as long as he's starting the game? He started the game. He played the game. I don't think the betting line is changing much if you know that he has a little wrist injury. You're going to be like, what did he do to get that wrist injury? Actually, wait, don't tell me what he did to get that wrist injury. Now, he fell on it awkwardly when he got tackled, and that could have pushed it over the top to what it is. I can't say what that was. Nobody asked him after the game what that was, and he didn't go, it was a brace. Yeah, I hurt my leg, right? Like who knows what it is? Speculation is speculation. Somebody now look, whoever that guy is now getting clicks on his feed, his Twitter feed, and he's getting famous just by posting that picture. But to me, at the end of the day, like I said, I mean, and there was shady shit going on back in the day. There was a rule that changed in the NFL where you had to put people on the injury report. But if he did not practice, I don't know why you need to put him on the injury report if he's saying he's feeling some discomfort in his hand. For all you know, it's just a little soreness. You don't know it's anything major, so maybe he did that. Now, it was the break. Again, all I'm saying is guys play with injuries all the time. Brian Cox played with a fucking broken leg. Tiki Barber played with a fucking broken wrist. I mean, you knew about it. But at the same time, if those guys didn't have those broken wrists going in, why do I care?
I mean, it's just one of those little technicalities. I really don't care one way or another, honestly. I can care less. I mean, I feel like teams, you do what you want to do. I think maybe they should have the ability to do what they want to do and handle those things the way they want to handle them. But
Well,
the
they
rules
can't
are what the
because they
rules
have
are, and
they
I
have
mean,
gambling.
it just that's what I'm saying. The rules are what the rules are. That's my point. And when
Oh,
you, like you said, this why the same thing, why nobody's investigating the Daniel Jones thing, like Daniel Jones was on the injury report. I mean, it wasn't like
right,
that was
but
anything
what I'm
hidden.
saying
He
is
went out there and he got bagged up little
he
bit.
was on
It's
the
a
injury
little
report for
bit
the
different
neck.
of a situation because he was technically listed.
But if
Yeah,
you're
but
doing FanDuel, right, and you're doing quarter by quarter stats or whatever, and he has a bad knee and nobody checks him and nobody takes him out of the game for you to know, now you're betting in the second quarter that Daniel Jones is going to come out and throw, let's say, 3 touchdowns, right? That's your bet. I doubt that was anyone's bet, but let's hypothetically say I put $100 on him doing that. He comes out and has a bad knee, comes to find out that nobody checked him on the sideline. I wouldn't have made that bet. That's essentially what is happening here. They could know all that he's banged up, but again, if the injury is not severe and you're playing, it goes by tiers. If he's a full participant, they're not going to put him on the list. Now, if it's dodgy and they're like, well, he is injured, but we're not putting him on the list, then yes. But if he's practicing, I'm not over in Bengals camp. I can't see the only people who can do that are the media. So if the Bengals lied and let the media in, right, and they go for the portion that is seen by the media at practice, and he's practicing fully, and they don't say anything on the injury report, and then when the media leaves, they're having whatever the kid's name is play behind him, which by the way didn't look like that guy took a snap a day in his life. So I'm not really worried about this injury. I'm just not as worried about it as people think. Now again, if you put money on it and they said he was limited, does that change your bet with a wrist injury? I don't think it does. Now his whole arm looked fucked up. Now that's a different story. But again, he played
I
through it. He
mean,
played
look,
through it.
look, it's just one of those things. NFL, they gonna do whatever due diligence, so to speak. Like I said,
Yeah,
I
I
can
can do
care
shit.
less one way or another about stuff like this. But at the end of the day, I mean, you guys are on the injury report all season long and play every single game. Plaxico Burress back in the 2007 season for the Giants on the injury report all season. He didn't even practice basically all fucking season. Still played pretty much every single game. Went out there. Tom Brady was on the injury report for like the whole season for the Patriots when he was back on the Patriots, and he played every single game. So it's just one of those. NFL is just
Yeah, but that
NFL is a
that
finicky
doesn't that
thing,
doesn't
man.
happen anymore because of Tom Brady. So you have to put a guy that's actually injured on there because again, Tom Brady's not being injured, being put on the injury report. It affects the betting lines. So that's why there's more emphasis on it now, and you have to have a daily report check because limited guys, we don't know what limited means. Limited could be anything from he sat on a couple drills or he didn't, right? So um, it's because they have Vegas as a sponsor, because they have FanDuel, because they have all these other things that go on, the injury reports are more important now than they were. Back in the day, it was more for gamesmanship. Oh well, Tom Brady's on the thing. Let's make sure that his arm it test his little ankle or whatever. But you probably knew he wasn't banged up. It was just to kind of throw it off. Now it's all about, like I said, the betting lines because they want you to. It affects. For example, if the Giants are playing with Daniel Jones as starting quarterback, the betting odds are probably that the Commanders are not the favorites, right? Because what Daniel Jones has done with that team. Now that Tommy DeVito is playing, the Commanders are favored by 8.5, right? And then if you put Tyrod Taylor on there, maybe that goes differently, right? But if Tyrod Taylor's not on the injury report, comes in and gets injured, you know, and someone said, "Oh well, I saw him wearing a flak jacket coming in," they didn't put him on the injury report. You don't really know. You know what I'm saying? Like what are we doing here?
This is just today's NFL, brother. Today's NFL. But let's we've
Nice.
been on here for a while. No, I don't know if you guys. I mean, unfortunately, due to this injury to Joe Burrow last night, we probably would have had an amazing, sensational game last night on Thursday Night Football, man. But unfortunately, the game did not go as well for the Bengals after Joe Burrow went down. That team went down, and the Baltimore Ravens just took full command of this football game. It was off to a pretty good start to be a really good, uh, captivating football game. Unfortunately, these injuries just kind of derailed this game last night a bit. So I don't know if you guys want to talk it all about the actual game itself, but if not, we can move it along, man. You guys have any thoughts on the actual game?
I'm good unless Adam has anything to say. He can go right ahead.
Other than the Ravens are legit Super Bowl contenders, that's what they look like. That's what their defense is playing like. And they put the clamps down when they needed to put the clamps down. They didn't let a backup quarterback come in and wreck the game, which is what you want to do. They came out and embarrassed that kid and made him humble him and make him look like he wasn't ready to play, which it clearly was, because obviously he's the backup quarterback. And that's another thing that makes me realize about the Joe Burrow thing. That guy came in and had like one good pass, and that's that. It was like not that many. Kirk Herbstreit was blowing him, all broadcast like, oh, he's played a lot of games with Washington. This ain't Washington, homie. This is the NFL. That's Ravens defense he's looking at. He's not looking at no Pac-12 defenses in UCLA or, the defenses in USC. This is a real Ravens defense. And that kid got humbled. And like I said, Super Bowl contenders, man. They got explosive players across that board. They're going to hurt without their tight end. But when you have Zay Flowers and Odell Beckham and Bateman, and I think I'm missing somebody somewhere, Aguilar, you got to win a lot of games, man. And they can run the football as well. It's going to be interesting to see how Lamar Jackson evolves and where this team ends up. Right now, they're the top dog in the AFC.
I will say this to turn this off too. Like I said it before on previous episodes of Premium Takes, it comes down to coach and player combo. I'm not trying to hit a dead horse, but Zach Taylor, was about to get fired. And then they got Joe Burrow. So sometimes it just goes to show you that Joe Burrow, we know that he's a special player. And sometimes when that special player is no longer there, it really is up to you, Zach Taylor. You had you had 2 wins one season. I believe you had 4 wins the next season. That being said, it's up to you to come in and really coach this team. And it's hard to do it without your starting quarterback. But now the microscope is on you as a head coach, and hopefully he can. Let's see what happens.
We shall see. We shall see, man. But we're gonna move along. We spent quite a bit of time on this opening topic, but it's all good. Sometimes it goes like that. This thing is not an exact science, but we're gonna move it along, man. We're gonna switch lanes a little bit. Go to the NBA, man, real quick, man. We don't have to. I'm curious about this Clippers, man. NBA, the Clippers are gonna move Russell Westbrook to the bench to try to get them some kind of a spark, as they have been on a 6-game losing streak. I believe they are still winless since the acquisition of James Harden. How do you guys think this could affect the Clippers moving forward, moving Westbrook to the bench?
Well, I think it works.
Go right ahead.
I think it works well because Harden and Westbrook are like the same player. And so what you're doing is either one should go to the bench. Harden, Westbrook, whatever you feel. I feel Westbrook gives you a little bit more explosiveness in terms of getting to the basket. But when you do this and you move a guy and make him on the 6th bench, he can now be the leader of your second team and have a guy that goes up against their second team. And now maybe you have a little bit of a scoring difference, right? That's why the Warriors do so well, because they can take out Steph Curry, put in Klay Thompson, or vice versa, and move him around, or they can bring Klay Thompson off the bench or Jordan Poole, and those guys are better than some of the guys behind you. So that's what you're trying to get with Russell Westbrook. Plus, it also breaks up the monotony of 2 ISO players on the floor at the same time with Westbrook and Harden. With Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, they both play defense and their length, and they're not necessarily slashers like Harden or Westbrook. And because Harden is going to be, I guess, your point, so to speak, you again allow Westbrook, who I think will flourish in this role, actually, because he'll have less responsibility, less pressure on him. All his job will be is to go in and score and give the team a spark, which is a lot easier than saying, hey, now you got to go play defense on the back end. You don't have to be that defender. And a lot of good players have come off the bench across the league, in their time as playing. You have Jim Jackson back in the day. You got a lot of players there was sixth man of the year was Aaron McKee for the Philadelphia 76ers. He came off the bench and gave people a spark. So there's been guys who can do that. I think in the NBA, it's almost paramount to have a guy like that. That when you take, because what you want to do is in the NBA, it's all about ebb and flows, right? And usually the other team gets back into the game when you put your second teamers in, and their better players beat you, and then you put your first teamers back in, and then you kind of goes like that. So if you get a guy like Westbrook who can still be dynamic, can still distribute the basketball, but will be the focal point when he's out there, as opposed to being second fiddle or the same kind of player as James Harden, I think it might help them out.
Absolutely, facts on that. I agree with most of what he said. To echo on that, yeah. I don't see them putting Horton on the bench. So obviously, Westbrook, that role goes to you. They need points off the bench. The bench been really inconsistent this season. Not watching the Clippers game, just going through their stats. They have proven veterans, but then they have a lot of young guys that needs to still earn rotation minutes. But that being said, Horton and Westbrook, Adam said it perfectly. They were the same player. Now you bring Westbrook coming off as the sixth man, or coming off as on the bench. Now when they take a seat, you have a main distributor of the basketball. Now the bench can get into a flow. Adam said it perfectly. Don't need to repeat everything. And I just think that the Clippers, if they do get it right, they have a shot of really going on a run here. But they have to get it right, because right now they're not getting anything from their bench, and I think this is a good move. For them to bring in Horton, they allowed to now make the move. If they didn't bring in Horton, I don't think they make this move, and I just think it's more on the Clippers' behalf. They have too good of a team with Paul George and Kawhi Leonard to be losing this much games early on this season. So that being said, it's still early, but all these teams are trying to figure out what works, what doesn't work. But yeah, Adam said it perfectly, and let's get it back to you, Matt.
I mean, you guys said everything that needs to be said. Honestly, James Harden, man. That's the common denominator here, man. Look,
The curse of James Harden.
James Harden, all of a sudden, you just start losing every single game. It's just ridiculous. All the talent this team has, Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, Russell Westbrook. Come on, man. Why is this team on a 5-game losing streak? Seriously, does that make sense? It doesn't make sense. But
Succubus.
You add that cancer named James Harden to the lineup, and these things are the kind of things that happen. Look at the Sixers. Look what the Sixers are doing right now. They've gotten they removed that growth of James Harden off of them, and now look what this team is doing. And then the Clippers acquire that, and now look at them completely.
Right, because he's a player that is so positionless, because he doesn't do a lot. He doesn't play defense well. He's very streaky. He's a moody player, to be exactly right. Because if he's not in a good mood, right, and his shots are not like, I literally watch him on the Nets collapse in the playoffs because guys are just defending him and he can't get his shot and he's stagnant the offense, and he really is more. I feel, if you want the truth, he needs to come off the bench. He's a bench player to me, because if you tell him, hey, dude, come in, score, don't worry about playing defense, just come in and set up at the 3-point line, boom, you got yourself a guy. But when you come in and starter, that's what ruins your team, because now the offense goes through him. And what used to be a passing offense, because Kawhi Leonard, again, he kind of moves and does a lot of different things without the basketball. And you have a guy that just kind of sits there and ISO ball, and you're 15 seconds into the clock and you're trying to, and then guess what? He puts up a shot. Now you're running down the fucking floor. There's no movement. And so he stops your ball movement in basketball.
You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of when, like, I'm sorry to bring them up, but I'm always trying to bring them up because we're awesome. But that being said, we had a championship come off the bench last year, and now that champion Kawhi Leonard is stored now because we need him to store it. But him as our sixth man, he's 35 years dominating, when he needed to be. And I think Westbrook, we all know that Westbrook can turn it on when he really, really, really wants to. Over the last couple of years, it hasn't been great. But the night, I remember RIP, but the night Nipsey died, he went out there and he dropped 60. You know what I'm saying? And I think we're gonna see him coming off the bench and maybe obviously not putting up near close to that, but him being affected off the bench. And one thing I want to point out is, one thing I hated what Horton did to make Adams' point is he took the ball out of Maxi's hands. Like, you have a young stud named Maxi. Now Maxi can shine because Horton is no longer on that team, and now it's it's mostly Embiid's team. But now Maxi has the ball in his hand, and now he can contribute the ball. Horton always wanted to touch the damn ball. That's like Horton. Now Max said it perfectly. We move Horton, and now Maxi and Embiid can go out there and shine with all the other pieces. Because if you look at the Clippers, they don't. If you look at the 76ers, they don't really have the studs of the world outside of Embiid and Maxi, but they play team basketball. You look at the Clippers, it's just like, yeah, you can have all the superstars in the world, but you guys look like shit on the court.
Well, it's truly his game. Truly his game age of the NBA. Because the NBA is up and down, running the floor, run and shoot kind of game now. And that's how they open up things. It's not as like when you're there's a reason why a team like San Antonio hasn't picked him up. A team like the Warriors hasn't picked him up because he just slows you down because he has to handle the ball. Who takes the ball up for the Clippers? Harden. So he has to set up the offense. But guess what? He's wasting time because he's at the top of the key waiting, trying to create a move, trying to get to the basket and be the focal point of the offense. He's not that guy. He's never been that guy. Even when he was in Oklahoma City, when he was his best in Oklahoma City is when he came off the fucking bench when he played with Oklahoma City and they had Westbrook and Durant. And his bench ass came in and he would play for, 35 minutes in and out of the game. But those 35 minutes, he was pretty good. And their team was unstoppable. But then they got to the playoffs, of course, and
he got stopped.
All right, fellas. Good stuff. I'm going to give the floor to Zion for a few moments here, man. You guys been talking about it in the chat a little bit earlier at the top of the show, so we might as well give the floor to you, Zion, here. And we want to spotlight the main event tomorrow night, UFC Fight Night. Brendan Allen, Paul Craig, Zion, man. You want to break it down for us, brother? You are UFC specialist.
Absolutely. So we got a big one. I do want to cover. I don't know if you had this later on in the show, but I'm gonna do it now. So if you did, we can cancel that segment. I do want to break down UFC 295 that recently happened. We have Yuri obviously losing in the early stoppage. I know a lot of us diehard MMA fans, we didn't like to see that. It's hard. For me, I respect Alex, but it's hard for me to crown him the light heavyweight championship when the ref stopped that early. So that being said, what's up, Tudo? Massive salutes to you, man. Respect. Thank you so much for being here, my brother. But that being said, man, Alex is the champion, so it is what it is. Alex is the champion. I hope they do a rematch before you go and you start calling out Izzy again. Izzy is taking a break. He'll be back when he's ready. Alex, I want you to fight Yuri again because I want to see that banger. I think it was an early stoppage. I don't know. I'm just being a hater on that one. Going into the heavyweight matchup, we all wanted to see John Jones. Obviously, we didn't see that one, but we did see your boy Tom Aspinall go out there and defeat the guy that everybody thought was the next coming of Jesus. I mean, like, I was hyping this guy up. He was on a 5-fight win streak, all knockouts. And guess what Tom Aspinall did? He knocked his ass out in 1 minute and 9 seconds. That's exactly what Tom Aspinall did. Another one big knockout is Jessica Andrade coming out there and proving why she is in the Hall of Fame of women in MMA. She's one knockout away of the most knockouts of all time in women MMA. Finishes, that is, not knockouts, I'm sorry, finishes. She goes out there and she finishes a tough opponent like Mackenzie Dern. With a knockout. So shout out to Jessica Andrade. And a little shout out before we move on to Diego Lopez. Absolutely young stud coming up, doing his thing. Big knockout win against Pat Sanitari. Sabatani. I hate these damn names, these worlds, these countries all around the world. It's so hard. Before I get into Alan and Craig, I'm gonna give it to my co-host Mac to see if he wants to touch on any of UFC 295 before we move into Alan and Craig.
No, it was a pretty fun card. I mean, if you like quick finishes, man, every match was a pretty quick finish for pretty much the entire night, man. I mean, you blinked, you were going to miss something. But it was a great card, man, top to bottom. I think the main event disappointed because I think it was a very premature stoppage. I think they could have let those guys go a little bit more, especially seeing how it was the main event. That wasn't really what you were looking for in the main event of the evening. But other than that, the rest of the night, man, some impressive knockouts, top to bottom, man. And that's really all I got, man.
Absolutely, yeah. So hopefully we get that rematch for that. Thank you so much for that, Mac. We get into the UFC fight night going down tomorrow night. Do want to touch on some fast fights here. We got Payton versus Nick, two up and comers. You know, no one really knows that much about them. 1-6-0, 1-7-1. But these are the type of fights that you guys do want to keep an eye on. I'm looking at Payton in this one, but we'll see where it goes. Just a little touch one at bantamweight going down. We got Chase Hooper. Obviously, he used to be the youngest fighter in the MMA, but in the UFC. But now, you know, he took some losses. He figured that, you know, this sport is tough when you're a boy going against man. You know, we've seen some people do it, but obviously, it's really tough. I was all waiting for Chase Hooper to get his man straight, get a couple of years under his belt, and then really, you know, can go take this MMA scene by storm. We've seen Sean O'Malley just do it, you know, go out there and win the world championship. I see Chase Hooper coming in, getting a big victory against Jordan Levitt. Moving on, my man Reels has it up on screen. Perfect one. We got Jake Matthews versus Michael Morales as the cold main event. That's going to be a fire one. Michael Morales is undefeated. I'm going to have Michael here. Jake Matthews is a proven veteran, 19-6. He wins some, he loses some, but he can't get a streak going. Great on the ground. Great, not really so standing up, but I just think Michael is the young buck that is gonna slay the dragon here. The dragon being Jake. You know, this is kind of a fight for Michael to now you're gonna fight near the top 15, and then now you know a couple more fights you can be fighting top 15 opponents, then to top 10. This is the kind of fight we need Michael to take, and I see Michael winning here. Then the middleweight fight that has championship implications on the line for the next following year. I'm not saying these guys are going to get a title fight immediately, but I'm just saying these are the middleweights to watch the next couple of 1 year that you can hear their name fighting for the championship soon if they can make a one here. It's Paul Craig versus Brandon Allen. Brandon Allen, he started his career as a young buck, you know, got humbled real fast, couldn't really get it going. But his spirit to continue the sport is what we love about Brandon Allen, and why I'm probably going to be picking him against Paul Craig here. Paul Craig has some finishes against some of the best MMA fighters right now in the UFC. But once again, Paul Craig can't really get his streak going. One thing about MMA, it's not absolutely, it's not boxing. It's not like you get 19 touch-up fights. It's the best fight, the best in your current ranking at the time, and then you get better and you move up to the rankings and you fight the best versus the best all the way to the top. And Paul Craig, he stumbles when he gets to the top 10, top 15 of the world. He gets one really good knockout against the top 7 in the world, and then it just disappears on him. And I think Brandon Allen has a couple of years underneath his belt, years of experience needed. Both, it's a pick 'em fight, but I'm gonna pick Brandon Allen here. I think Brandon Allen starts to reclaim a spot that he deservedly thought it was supposed to be him, but got humbled real fast. 22-5, and I see Brandon Allen fighting for the championship here in about a year on out. We'll see how it goes. We'll see who gets match mixed against, with Izzy Gahn and Sean Strickland at the top. Yep, absolutely. Put that graphic up on screen if you can. Paul Craig is 9-6 in the UFC, not really getting anything going. Brandon Allen's 10-2 in the UFC. That's absolutely my point. Thank you for making it much more clearer with that, Wills, and thank you, Mac, for bringing it up. I have Brandon Allen in this one, guys, and yeah, back over to you, Mac. Thank you. That was a long one, but I respect you giving me the time.
Appreciate it. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Zion, for that great UFC analysis, man. You are a resident UFC expert on the panel. Appreciate you, my brother, man. And we're gonna move it along, man. We're gonna switch gears here. Go to the NCAA and the Michigan Wolverines, man, specifically, man. Let's talk about Michigan Wolverine football right now, man. Can they overcome the distractions that are plaguing this team right now as the postseason play nears, man? Right now, currently sitting number 3 in the stand in the rankings in the 4-team playoff. But a lot of things are going on with this football team around, and not even necessarily football related so much. Mentioned the Jim Harbaugh. They just fired their linebackers coach. Uh, guys think they can overcome all these distractions? How you feel about it, Adam?
I do. And here's why. They're already a big program. Next week, this week they play Maryland, I think, right? I think it's Michigan versus Maryland, if I'm not mistaken. Let me just look it up.
Maryland, and then Ohio State.
Right. So, I mean, we'll worry about Ohio State. That's the game that you will talk about. This Maryland Terrapins game, I think they will be fine here. And so they have the 2 games remaining on the schedule. Now, the only way I see them losing this game is if they're overlooking Maryland to go into Ohio State. Otherwise, I don't see why it's going to be that bad of a game for them. They were without their coach and have scandal last week. They won the game without him, right? So I think they understand going forward what the situation is going to be, and they're going. I think they'll have this team prepared. I think they'll go out and they're just playing great football right now on defense. They were dominating last week, and they didn't need to pass the ball. All they do is run most of the time. If you look at J.J. McCarthy's numbers, he had 8 or 9 passes, something like that. And so we'll see what happens. But I don't think Maryland's the team they need to worry about. I think ask me this question against Ohio State, because that's where I think, when you have adversity and you're looking down the sideline for a guy to pull you out, give you a rah-rah speech, or, just give you a thumbs up or something, you're not going to have that guy who's been in the game. That's where I think it'll affect them. This game, I think they can ride the storm, ride the weather, but it'll really be the Ohio State game where I will say that it may affect them when the adversity strikes. This game, I'm not saying they're overlooking them, but let's be honest, college is a little different than the NFL, right? And even though Tagovailoa's brother is playing Tagovailoa, I think you'll see a good game. I think you'll see J.J. McCarthy do what he's got to do. I think Michigan's going to pound the rock a lot in this offense. That's what it seems like they've done after Harbaugh's been gone. And I think their defense is good enough to carry that team. And I think the Maryland is going to, kind of struggle against Michigan. But again, I reiterate, Ohio State, because the buzz is going to be there. It's going to be, I don't know if it's for a championship, but I know that it's going to be deciding either playoff seeding or at least, something along those, something big's going to happen with that game. So that's the game I worry about, not this one.
I absolutely agree with him. I mean, I'm looking at these last couple of schedules. It doesn't care who Michigan plays, they're beating them. Who cares who Ohio State plays, they're beating them. It all comes down to this game, number 2 versus number 3. Me personally, and I probably, if nothing happened to Michigan, I'll probably still feel the same way. I think Ohio State's offense is going to be by 4 superior to any offense Michigan seen this year, and vice versa. Outside of Penn State, Ohio State did win against Penn State. Michigan, I honestly have them finishing 11-1. I think Ohio State's just going to be a tough out for them. They've been one of the best defenses in the country this whole collision season. Outside of Georgia, it's really the best offense versus the best defense, and that's why it's going to be so fun. Outside of the ranking, I know Oregon's at the top of some and stuff like that. But if you really look what Ohio State's been doing, I honestly think it really comes down to one of these teams going home and one of these teams is representing the conference in the playoffs. And I think the team that's going to be representing the conference in the playoffs is Ohio State, because even though Michigan has a tough defense, I can see Ohio State's defense, stopping Michigan, and I don't see it's going to be it might just be an explosive game, but my takes on it, Michigan will not overcome the distractions, and they'll probably finish with one loss and probably be eliminated of the college football playoffs, because I don't think that they're gonna give Michigan a spot when you're gonna have a team like Washington coming out, a Pac-12 winner. I think the Pac-12 winner automatically gets a spot, and I think Georgia gets a spot. Florida State's still undefeated; they're gonna get a spot. So it really comes down to Ohio State, and then you even got Alabama that could win out, beat Georgia. If Alabama beats Georgia in the SEC championship game, then Georgia and Alabama will get a spot. So we got Georgia, Alabama, Florida State, and then we got the winner of the Pac-12. So Michigan, Ohio State, only one of you guys will get into the college football playoffs. One of you guys will go home, because I just believe that SEC championship loss. The Georgia, if Alabama beats Georgia, they're immediately in the playoffs, because the one loss Alabama that just beat Georgia, they're in the playoffs, and the Georgia that only lost to Alabama's in the playoffs. So I really think it comes down to, and then Florida State still lingering too. So Michigan, Ohio State, that's the game of the season. That's the game everybody been waiting for, and that arguably is a championship game in itself. It just so happens they play in the same conference. But that being said, go right ahead, Mac.
I mean, it's going to come down to how you evaluate it. I mean, I don't really think see a scenario where Michigan's going to necessarily go out there and lose to, for instance, Maryland tomorrow. But at the end of the day, you go out there and this game is more competitive than expected. Those things affect the way you get evaluated. The guys who do the college rankings evaluate. I mean, you guys are supposed to go out there and lay the lumber on a Maryland, you know what I mean? And just with everything they got going on, just as long as if this team needs to stay in that mental space to go out there and take care of business against a Maryland team, which they should absolutely do, because the talent is just overwhelmingly better. So that's what the difference in college football and the NFL is. Like, everybody's not on as much of an even playing field. Everybody's not good. You got a bunch of guys on all of these college teams that are going to be accountants and lawyers one day, as opposed to NFL players. So it's just Michigan has more of those guys that will probably be in the NFL, that will be watching the NFL, as opposed to a Maryland. So they'll go out there and handle business against a team like that. But then you come to Ohio State. That's the rivalry game of the year every year. Michigan, Ohio State, the season ends like that every single season. And that's a game where you're going to need to be really, really competitive, because you do got the teams right on the outside of the playoffs right now, looking into Washingtons and Alabamas and teams like that are right on the outside, that also have key marquee matchups left, that they can make that impressive, get that one more marquee impressive win to boost their resume as well. So you want to go out there against an Ohio State and at the very least keep it a very competitive football game, because I think you have one loss on your roster, on your schedule, one loss on your, and it's just Ohio State, and it was a competitive loss, like lose by a field goal, game-winning field goal in overtime or something to that such. I don't think that knocks Michigan out of the playoffs necessarily. You know what I mean? Because that's not some kind of like disappointing loss. That's just you played a tough Ohio State team and you came up a little bit short. So they just got to be able to keep their heads together and keep staying in that right mental space. What's going on, Miz, by the way? Thanks for stopping. Appreciate you, man. But yeah, you just gotta they just gotta stay in a good mental space right now and try to block out all the things going on around them, because it's a lot. I mean, these are still young kids too at the end of the day, and it is a lot, man. So as long as they can just kind of stay focused on the task in hand and understand, I think this Michigan team will be okay, because this is a very talented bunch of kids up there in Ann Arbor, man. So that's really all I got right now on that, man. And you know what time it is, guys.
Can we all admit
real fast that we want
NCAA? I do. I just this fast take real fast. Like I do. I don't know if the seedings are gonna put them, but I do want to see a Michigan versus Georgia natty. I don't think the seedings are gonna allow that, but that is a team I want to see Michigan overcome the distractions, overcome the objective, because Michigan, if you want to be totally honest, Georgia's been at the top because the recency bias. They've never lost in 2.5 seasons, coming on 3, and there's back-to-back championships. But if you're really evaluating team for team this year, Michigan is the best team in the country and should should go out and win off. Should go out, and it's obvious that Georgia's ranked number one, because how can you say that? Georgia is undefeated, two-time national championship, going for 3, but really evaluating this season, just leave everything out of it. Michigan is the best team in the nation, in my opinion, and that's saying a lot with Washington's, Florida State's, and Georgia's of the world. But that being said, it's gonna be fun. We're gonna see how it plays out, and yeah, go right ahead.
Yeah, unless you guys have anything else you wanted to talk about NCAA before we move on, before I give the floor to Adam to do his thing.
I'm all set.
All right. Let's go. Adam, the floor is yours, buddy. You already know what time it is.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is that time again. It is time for me to present my screen. Share my screen. I want to make sure that it's shared. I don't know why it's not presenting right now. Let's see what's happening. My computer is obviously slow. But here we are, the weekly Pick'ems segment. Can you see it on my screen? It's good?
Yep, I see.
Okay, terrific. So I just want to say this. We all are winners this week, as we all got 6 wins each. If you look at that, here is the total. That is 6 for you, Mac, 6 for you, Zion, and 6 for me. Trust me, as much as I want to be tied with you, I don't want to be tied with you, but we are anyways. That's just a funny joke there. I don't really care if I win or lose, but you know me, I like to gloat when I win, and I hate that I lose. But with that being said, let's review some of these games, shall we? We went over the games to start, and that was the Colts versus the Patriots. And what a putrid game over in Germany. I'd rather watch paint dry than this game. 10-6 the Colts. Mac, you got the Colts. Zion had the Colts. And of course, I had the Colts. I'm glad I picked that team. The Browns, Ravens. Here's where we differed. Okay, the Ravens. What a game this was. What do you want to talk about? An epic game? This was an epic game. This is one of those games you're going to rewatch years later because that's how good it was. At one point, the Ravens were dominating. You thought they are going to absolutely railroad the Browns. And then, boom, the Browns came out of nowhere. A couple pick sixes happened. It's kind of funny. They had a tip pick 6 on the Ravens side. They had a tip pick 6 on the Brown side. And then, of course, they had that. They missed the extra point. The Browns get the ball back again. They go down, and they win a game-winning field goal. And Mac picked the Ravens, I picked the Browns, and Zion picked the Ravens. Boy, I was right. No, I'm just kidding. But here's another game that was an excellent game to watch. Real back and forth game. This is where I think the Bengals season went up in smoke right here as they dropped a touchdown pass. I think it was Tyler Boyd dropped a touchdown pass in the end zone. That didn't help out. But the Texans, C.J. Stroud, raises the bar again, and Mac picked the Bengals. Zion picked the Bengals, and of course, I went with the Bengals. We were not buying it, but I guess we were wrong. C.J. Stroud has that team ready and going for the playoffs. Here's another game I thought was going to be totally different. That was 49ers and the Jaguars. The 49ers came out after their bye week and absolutely throttled the Jaguars' momentum. I mean, they made Trevor Lawrence look mediocre in this game. That's how bad it is. Mac picked the 49ers. Obviously, Zion picked the 49ers, and myself, I was the only – this is where I could have differed, but no. What did I do? I got on the hot streak with the Jaguars, and, of course, I picked the Jags, and they let me down. Thanks for nothing. Okay, moving on to the next game, Saints-Vikings. Here's where I also thought they were going to have it. I thought the Saints' defense would play a little better. They didn't. The Saints lost that game. Joshua Dobbs has that team humming. Zion, you picked somehow
I had a tie
in this game, so you lose automatically with that dumb pick. So you could have easily been winning the picks. Yes, he said a tie. I don't know why. I don't even know why we allowed a tie.
We never had a tie this year. I wanted a tie.
I didn't even. Yeah, but of this game to have a tie, do a different game with 2 booty ass teams. But this game, a tie, you had to get the loss. I don't even have a color coordination for a tie. I'm gonna have to go back and rejigger this whole paper thanks to Zion. And then Mac picked the Vikings as well. The Packers Steelers, another interesting game that went down to the wire. Steelers hold on. Mac picked the Steelers. Zion picked the Steelers, and I picked the Steelers as well. Kenny, this game, Jordan Love, I don't know if he's the guy. I don't want to write him off yet, but I also have to point out that he is not playing good football. The Titans with Will Levis go down to Tampa Bay and absolutely lose. We all picked the Titans. Well, actually, no. Zion picked the Bucks here. We called them crazy. I guess we're the crazy ones for picking the Titans and believing in Will Levis. That is terrible. Atlanta Falcons. I am never picking the Falcons again. They're friggin' terrible. I know the Giants lost to the Cardinals. The Cowboys lost to the Cardinals, but the Falcons are frauds. They're fraudulent. I am not picking them again. They cost me. They cost Zion. They cost myself as well.
Well,
screw that team.
Say so. Had I known, I didn't know Kyler Murray was playing. I was out of the loop on that. I known he was playing in that game, that I would have taken the Cardinals. I absolutely would.
Okay, well let me put that on the sheet. Would have picked the Cardinals had Kyler Murray been there. It's too late now. Revisionist history. Time to move on. Lions against the Chargers. What a game, Mac. This is where I think you were right here. You picked the Lions. The Lions, hell of a football game. I got into a discussion with somebody who says Justin Herbert we're gonna have to question him. And I'm saying you can't blame him for his defense giving up 41 points. He puts up 38. What can you ask the man? He had 3 touchdowns, 300 yards. I picked the friggin' Chargers. Thanks for nothing. Their coach stinks. Hope he gets fired. But that would mean they're not in the playoffs. Zion, you also picked the Chargers. You're with me on the loser boat. Cowboys, Giants. Well, this one was a shellacking and a half. Wasn't even a game. I don't care about the 17 points. We absolutely got
rid of my guaranteed pick of the week. If you didn't want to lose money, you took the Cowboys.
Oh, my God. Yes.
Guaranteed pick of the week. Comes true every time.
This is a lock from
the Cowboys hit the over by themselves.
By themselves. They beat us by 32 points here, and it could have been worse. It should have been worse. If I was the Cowboys, I would have made a statement for years to come so the Giants did, but they didn't. And we all picked the Cowboys. Thank God I'm not a betting man because the Giants look putrid. They look absolutely dog shit. I don't know if they're gonna win another game. Let's hope they don't, so John Mara can get out of his own butthole. But here's another game that was very interesting. Commanders, Seahawks. Mac picked the Commanders. Zion picked the Commanders, and I picked the Seahawks. But, man, I don't want to hear a damn word about you Sam Howell haters out there. I'm going to run my lap right now, okay? I'm running it. I've been banging the table for Sam Howell for over a year. You know what you guys can do? You can line up one by one, and you know what to do. Guess who's the leading passer in the NFL? Don't worry, I'll wait. Okay? That's all I have to say about that. Let's move on. Even though I picked the Seahawks to win, I should be gloating about my win, but I'm more about gloating about Sam Howell, who is having a phenomenal year as a 5th-round pick out of the North Carolina. The Jets, Raiders. I picked the Raiders because I had no faith in the Jets. You two guys picked the Jets, and what an absolutely atrocious game it was on Sunday Night Football. Antonio Pierce gets his second win, and hey, they're in the playoff race, baby. Al Davis would be like, just win, baby. That's what he's doing. Antonio Pierce, hats off to you. I love your diamond studs on the earring on the sidelines. That's dope. Only coach in the NFL that's got diamonds in his ears. Bills, Broncos. Mac and I both picked the Bills. Zion, you are the Lone Ranger with the Broncos, but it doesn't help you because you still have 6 wins. Was the tie that killed you? Maybe this week you shouldn't pick a tie, huh? Let's think about that as we go through the scores. But that wraps up Week 10 for you. That leads us to the picks for week number 11. Jesus criminy, I cannot believe that it's already week 11 in the NFL season. Can you believe that? It means we only have about 7 games left, so get your betting ready, get everything ready. Well, we only have 7 regular season games left. Thank God if you're a Giant fan. But you also have the 3 to 4 postseason games, and we'll be with you all the way through those. But to start off the game, thank God no games on.
Time out. I have a question, Adam. I have a question.
What?
I didn't have a question. I just wanted the mic for a little bit. Can we put some respect on Russell Wilson's name, please? Everybody, the whole NFL wants to ride this guy off. This guy is 18 touchdowns for interceptions. You know, this guy, obviously, I'm not gloating about that win against Buffalo. That was luck. But I had them winning right of field goal. All I want to say is, if you really look at Russell Wilson and what he's been doing this season, yeah, it's tough because they're playing the AFC. Yeah, Sean Payton's first time there in Denver. Watch the Denver Broncos in years to come, and I honestly think that they might you're seeing a rebirth of Russell Wilson right here, and I see Sean Payton having a better run next year, and I would not be surprised if Denver sneaks himself in the playoffs. Yes, I said that. I won't be surprised if Denver sneaks himself into the playoffs. And obviously, we all know that Will Levis is probably gonna not Will Levis. I'm sorry, CJ Stroud and Houston is coming up for that playoff spot as well. But thank you for giving me the moment. You go right ahead, Adam.
And now that you got that off your chest, we can continue with our regularly scheduled programming, which was week number 11. And like I was saying, there was no body playing in Germany. Thank God. I didn't want to wake up and have to have football. I want to eat, drink my coffee, and not worry about being stressed out. However, the game that leads us off on Sunday is the Cowboys and Panthers. Let me guess. Somebody's going to pick the Panthers. I doubt it. Mac, I'm going to start with you. Who do you have?
The Cowboys.
The Cowboys.
I think give a reason why. I think
we all know why. we know why. We know why. Zion?
I'm gonna get them boys.
I'm going to put it in the spreadsheet as them boys. That's how it is. People see it right now. Them boys. Okay. Myself, I'm not going to be as like you, as cool and say them boys, but I will say those Cowboys are going to win the game. It's going to be a laugher by halftime. They will be padding their stats like they were last week. Let's see how many yards they put up, because if the Panthers defense doesn't give up 600 yards, that'll be something. That'll be something.
They're
I
not
actually have a suggestion.
yards.
I have a
They're
suggestion.
not
Adam.
going to give up 600 yards. That was ridiculous last week.
This week, guys, to break tiebreakers, this week we have to give the pick and the score prediction for Monday night. That's how you usually do tiebreaker splits.
Well, that's great, but if you didn't pick a tie, you would have won. So maybe we will
I could have picked the losing team though, and I could have lost. It was a 50-50. My tie saved me, Adam.
Well, technically, I shouldn't even give you. It's a tie. You should be 6-1. You technically could win. I could give you a 50-50 and flip a coin and have you. Anyways, we're getting off topic. Stop this right now.
We'll do
your score thing at the end to break the tiebreaker. Great idea. Anyways, Steelers, Browns. Who do you have, Zion, and why? It should be a good game. Both backup quarterbacks. Kenny. Both quarterbacks playing this game are backups. But who do you have?
I mean, I'm going to go with the Steelers here. I think obviously the Browns have a great defense, but I think the Steelers are a better team. Red Pickett, I'm going to go with the Steelers.
Steelers. And how about you, Zion? I mean, Mac.
I think we get a big dose of Kareem Hunt on the Cleveland Browns offensively, man. And I think that the defense is a definite championship level defense led by Myles Garrett. And I think the Cleveland Browns win this game at home in a big showdown rivalry game against their bitter rival Pittsburgh Steelers, man.
Well, this is a game that I love. The game that I fell in love with the NFL was Steelers Browns. And they were in the dog pound. We're going to the dog pound. The Browns have a new era at quarterback in DTR, and he's going to show you why he is an electric player. Give me another dog pound sound. Boom. I'm going with the Browns here. I think it's going to be great. 1993, they had Vinny Testaverde against Neil.
You got to move down a spot.
Huh?
You got to move down to your name.
Oh, sorry.
You're good.
I got so caught up in Wolf and I.
The dog pound. I like it. The dog pound's in the back. Dog pound.
So here's how it's going down. Okay. They got me into football back in the day. I saw a game with the Browns Steelers in the playoffs in 1993, or in this case 1994, and it was a snowy game. It got me into football. What's happening? What am I missing? I hope so, Mac. Got
I just love Wells' comment. I feel him on that.
Yes, you fantasy lovers, you. let's get back to it. Anyways, we can always talk about fantasy players if you got in here, Mac. If you got any guys in here you're looking at, you're feel free to mention that in your little pick segment as well. To help out the folks out there trying to get an edge. But a NFC North rival here, a game that normally would be good or normally two bottom dwellers. It looks like the Lions are not a bottom dweller anymore, folks. I'm going to go with the Lions. I know I'm picking myself first, but I love them right now. I think they're a sneaky good team. I think they could represent in the Super Bowl. That's right, Detroit fans. I said it. I said the dreaded S word. You got it. Now, let's see what they can do with that. Even though the Bears' defense is improved, and David, I think the offense of the Lions is too good. Mac.
I like Detroit Lions here. I mean, his offense is just too damn good, too explosive for the Bears to even remotely keep up. Still don't know what's going on with Justin Fields, if he's. I know he's been working his way back a little bit, but I'm still not sure if he's going to be in the lineup. That just even lessens the Bears' chances offensively, especially. So I got to go with Detroit Lions here, man. Amon St. Brown, that kid, Amon Rod St. Brown, that kid is an absolute stud. He is the real thing. He's gonna go out there and have another day like he did, similar to what he did against the Chargers on Sunday, man. So
8-2
definitely gotta go with
Lions.
Detroit here.
And that is crazy to think that they could be 8-2 because who knows? At the end of the week, they could be standing atop the NFC as we go down. Zion, who do you have?
Wouldn't we absolutely love to see like a Miami versus Detroit Super Bowl? Wouldn't that
Now,
be fun? I want to give a special shout out to my alumni. I didn't even go to the college, but my alumni SC. I'm on St. Brown. I remember Adam. I don't know if you remember this conversation we had before the season started. We all knew that he was going to become a household name, and he is becoming a household name. He's emerging himself as one of the better receivers in the league. Um, obviously Jefferson, he's hurt, but at the end of the day, Chase Jefferson, they have the light, you know what I'm saying? And a lot of people forgot how good this kid can be. And boy is he showing it. That was a long segment, but give me Detroit here.
and Amon St. Brown is becoming a household name. And come Thanksgiving, he'll be in your living rooms for your viewing pleasure. Chargers, Packers. Man, Chargers with a heartbreaker last week. Packers with just don't know how to get out of their own way. Zion, we'll start with you. Who do you have?
Yeah, I mean, like even at Lambeau, they have so much talent. It's just so hard picking against them, but they lose. Like I just got to go with them again. I'm gonna go with the Chargers. They're gonna probably f me again, but the Chargers.
Please, please.
Keaton Allen is playing outstanding right now, but they just can't win games.
Mac?
I got to go Chargers here. I mean, just once again, it's also just what I just said about the last game. Just too much offense for the Packers to keep up here. Jordan Love, where he's not absolutely terrible, Packer fans. I need to break it to you, let you know he's also not going to be your solution answer at quarterback for the next 15 years, like Brett Favre, a la Aaron Rodgers. I'm not seeing that from this kid either. I mean, he's not terrible. But at the end of the day, he's not. I'm not seeing a guy that's going to be your future for the next 15 years and win you a couple championships. So, yeah, I got to go Chargers here.
Well, I got to take my man Justin Herbert, who played a phenomenal game last week. I am going to keep him there. Okay, and Justin Herbert is going to be on another Subway commercial on a way to a victory. We're going to see if he's pro his Subway sub or if he's pro not. Doesn't matter. You're going to see about 100 ads, and if he definitely wins, you're going to see more ads. So I'm going with the LA Chargers. Should be fun. Bolts get off the schneid after a heartbreaker. I think they take it to the Packers. Okay, so here we go. Texans, over 500 Texans, folks. Let that sink in against the Kyler Murray-led Cardinals. I'm going to go here. I'm going to finally pick the Texans. Man, it was been a long way, but I am going to finally pick them. I mean, if that was a survivor pool, I would already be dead because I never picked them and they constantly have won. But I think CJ Stroud is going to put on a show in Houston. Mike?
Yeah, I jumped off the Texans train last week, and that was a mistake, clearly. And I'm jumping back on all aboard CJ Stroud for MVP, baby.
CJ Stroud for MVP. You heard it here.
Ooh.
You heard it here first, Mac. He's not only going to win Rookie of the Year, he's going to win MVP. Zion?
I say you got to be behind the clock like 14 years if the Arizona is ever going to have a chance to win this game, because the quarterback at the time was Kurt Warner. So bring him back because Arizona is going to get demolished. Yeah, give me the Texans.
Arizona is going to get demolished. No faith in Kyler Murray. All right. Well, on to the next game. We're still in the 1 o'clock hour. I battled the AFC South, Jaguars, Tennessee Titans. The Titans are still going with Will Levis, which is going to cost them in the end. So I'm going to pick the Jaguars, who screwed me last week. Don't screw me again, Trevor Lawrence, you jerk. Sounds terrible, actually. Sounds inappropriate. But with that being said, I will choose Mac. Who do you got?
I'm going. I know. I just keep picking this team, and they keep letting me down. But I'm going to go Tennessee again, man. Tennessee, Derrick
What?
Henry. I mean, Derrick Henry just lights this team up when he plays the Jacksonville Jaguars, man. I got to go Tennessee here, man.
Well, if there was ever a tiebreaker, this one's going to break that tie. Zion, who do you got?
Then the Jaguars have such a hard schedule ahead. And this could be a slip up game. So I could clearly see where Mac is going here. But division opponents, you control records aside. Records don't matter. But I'm gonna ride with Trevor here. I'm gonna go Jacksonville at home. Not as bold as Mac today.
Not as bold as Mac today. Well, I'm not as bold because they still have Will Levis playing. So here's a game I never thought would be close in terms of records, and it's probably not going to be close in terms of score. The Raiders against the Dolphins. Raiders coming off a couple victories against a couple piss poor New York teams are going to finally meet a team. Man, Antonio, I hope you got these boys fired up, because that's all they're going to be, is fired up, because they're going to be catching their gas, watching them Dolphins run past them all over the place. I got the Dolphins in this game. Tua Tagovailoa is going to light them up. I hope it's not 70 points. Oops. What the heck? Who do you got, Zion?
I'm gonna go out on a limb here, guys, and call me crazy. I just think right now he's interim. Let me just come up with a hypothetical here. Right now he's interim. He beat the Jets. He beat the Giants. Who's the Jets? Who's the Giants? Absolutely nobody's. But you go out there and you win against the Dolphins. That's a statement win. You know, you got the weapons to do it. I like this tight end. I like them from college. Michael Mayer. They're utilizing him more. They still got Josh Jacobs. They still have Max Crosby rushing on defense. That can slow down Tua. Obviously, they're not going to slow down the Dolphins. The Dolphins will probably win this game. But for the sake of this exercise, I'm going to take the Raiders. Give me the Raiders.
The Raiders.
Zion,
you're crazy, yo.
You say I can call you crazy, and I'm going to call you crazy.
What did you guys say last week about the Broncos?
Are very offensively challenged. And you know what? I love AP. I love Antonio Pierce. Don't get it wrong. And I'm glad he's had some success as a head coach right now, these first couple of games of coaching. But guess what? You are not playing the New York Giants or the New York Jets this week, buddy. You are not playing an offensively challenged football team. You are playing a football team that dialed up 70 points on the Denver Broncos earlier this season. And they're not going to do that. But at the end of the day, this team here is just way too much Tyreek Hill, way too much Jalen Waddle, way too much Raheem Mostert, way too much Tua, just way too much offense for the Raiders to keep up in this one, man.
Way too much. So I'm guessing you're picking the Dolphins then.
Absolutely.
I
mean, if I didn't make that point clear, yeah, I'm picking the Miami Dolphins.
Oh, you made it clear. I'm just, for the folks tuning in late who may not know what you're talking about. Got to make sure we get it on, and it's in writing now. So that leads us to this game: Giants Commanders. the Giants versus the Commanders. I'll start with you, Mac. Who do you got?
Well, I'll put it this way: in the last 3 weeks of the NFL season, Sam Howell has thrown more touchdown passes than the New York Giants three quarterbacks combined. So I'm picking the Washington Commanders here because Tommy DeVito is the quarterback for the New York Giants, and clearly we know that's not a recipe for winning football games. So yeah,
Zion, who do you got?
I hope you lose.
yeah, that game's in Miami, Wells.
Okay, Commanders. Not even a pick. Just let we lose. I am picking the Washington Howls. That's what they're going to change their name to. They're going to change it to the Washington Howls as in honor of Sam Howell.
I thought you were serious. Okay, wait. Stop it. That's funny.
This- What?
I was gonna say there's no whoops in Washington, but it was a joke. Okay.
What did you say?
No, I thought you was dead ass serious. I was gonna say there's no whoops in Washington, but it was a joke. I got the joke. I'm late to the joke.
Yeah, you're late to the party. Anyway, Sam Howells. The Washington Howls beat the New York Giants on Sunday just because Tommy DeVito and his chicken parm have an ass is putrid, and that's what's going to cost us. Even though Commanders defense is also trash, I think they still believe they're in the playoff race. They still want to win this game. They owe us from the I wouldn't say butt whipping, but the win I guess we had against them 2 weeks ago. Thanks for nothing, Tyrod Taylor. And away we go. So Bucks, yes.
I'm I'm right there with you, Wells, man. I mean, I know it's tough watching the New York Giant team, but even I can say anything I want, but on Sunday when I'm tuned into the game, I'm rooting for this team to win, no matter what. I mean, that's
Not
just how
me.
I am. I can't help
And
being that way.
I honestly, guys, I want
I
this
just
team.
am.
I want the kid. I want this team to win. But honestly, guys, this is the way I feel. This team doesn't deserve to win. Okay, until they show me that they deserve to win the game, they don't deserve. I don't understand. I mean, like, I
Listen,
don't want to go on a rant right here, but I'm gonna say this. You know, when you draft a guy at quarterback, I'm talking about for his first game. You draft a guy at quarterback. His title's not handoff guy. I get it. You can't do anything, but you know, clearly not giving, not this is the head coach I'm talking about, not giving any effort to even build a victory here. You guess what? You're up until you're not. And that's when this team lost me this season. You're up until you're not up, and then you lose the game you're supposed to win. And this team lost me well before that cause. But at the end of the day, when you have quarterbacks like Caleb Williams and Michael Penix Jr. coming out this year, we can't miss on that. So that being said, I hope we make it competitive. If this team wins, yip-de-doo. What does that get us? Nothing. If this team loses, we have another shot at a superstar that could be a franchise quarterback for years to come.
well, I'd like us to lose because that'd be the fastest way to not seeing Daniel Jones play. So the more we lose, the better it is for me and my viewing pleasure. Because if that guy is trotted out next year as the starting quarterback, as the rumors are trying to pretend, I will be walking away from this team for a year at least until his ass is Gone. And for those that don't know what I spelled, gone. Okay, on to the next game. 4 o'clock, Santa Clara, 49ers, Bucks. I am sorry, Bucks. You had a nice win against Atlanta or whoever you played last week. I forget who they played, but this week you're going to get railroaded.
Tennessee.
Oh, Tennessee. They beat Tennessee. Yeah, great. You're not beating this team. 4-6 is on your plate. I am going with the 49ers who came back with a vengeance. Baker Mayfield, you're going to get sacked by the Bosa and Chase connection. Mac?
I am taking the 49ers all day long. Just
And
start
twice on
CMC can start a new touchdown streak. He can get a new touchdown streak started.
touchdown streak. How about you, Zion? Don't go
I'm going to
crazy.
go with the 49ers. I'm not going to go too crazy. I think the 49ers have a lot of upcoming games that is going to matter. I just think that they're going to use the Buccaneers as their little get white punching bag.
Okay. Next game, 49ers, Bills. Zion, since we left off with you, we'll start with you.
49ers, Bills.
I mean, Jets, Bills. Excuse me, Jets,
I was
Bills.
going to say Bills.
I was gonna say,
So I just have that gut feeling that, Denver will ride off into the sunset. But now the Buffalo Bills they should have won that game last week. They're going to get it right this week. They're going to annihilate the Jets at home.
the Bills. Mac?
I don't know, man. This Bills team has been stinking up the joint, man. I don't even at this point. I have a hard time picking them, but the Jets are so offensively challenged, man. I'll just go with the Bills.
Going with the Bills. Nobody circles the wagons like the Buffalo Bills. As much as I like the Buffalo Bills and I love what Chris Berman says, here's where I'm going to change it up. Jets always give the Bills trouble. I think they give them trouble again in Orchard Park as they're trying to find their sea legs. You couldn't have picked a better time to play the Bills. Turmoil in the locker room. Will Sean McDermott be fired? Just fired Kent Dorsey. Defense is coming to play. And Zach Wilson always plays well against the Bills, just like Daniel Jones used to always play well against the Commanders. I'm taking the Jets. Call me crazy. Well, you're calling Zion crazy. Call me loony because I'm picking this one. So, next game. Battle of the NFC North. Seahawks, Rams. I'm going to go with the Seahawks, and they keep their winning streak alive and their playoff hopes alive. Seahawks with the victory. Zion?
I'm gonna go with the Rams here. Rams beat them week 1. The Seahawks is like a mess. I mean, like they're not really a mess, but if you think about it, they have all these playmakers, but like they don't have a clear like strategy. If you really think about it, they have a really good defense, and then it's like this game we're gonna just get the ball to Lockett. This game we're gonna get the ball to Metcalf. This game we're gonna try to mix in Jixon. This game we're gonna run it. It's like I don't know what the Seahawks are, and to that point, I'm gonna take a division opponent like the Rams that is on a losing streak, that is gonna play them tough because the Rams season is basically over. So what they're trying to do is eliminate the Seahawks from the playoffs. So that being said, the Seahawks has 6 wins on the season, but I don't believe that they're a 6-win team outside of their defense. So I know that was long. Give me the Rams at home.
Rams at home. Again, I don't think Zion added a tiebreaker element. I don't think this week he's going to need that tiebreaker element with the picks that he's making. But that could be me. I could be wrong. We will revisit this at the end of the week. Mac?
No, I'm going Seattle here. The Rams are going in the opposite direction, man. This team is starting to fall off a cliff, and they're not. They're looking like the team I thought they were going to be before the season started, and I don't think they. I think the Seahawks win this game.
Well, here is one that I like. This game is very intriguing. Vikings, Broncos. Who thought it would have any juice? Well, guess what? It's got a little juice. Joshua Dobbs playing great football right now for the Minnesota Vikings. Broncos coming off 2 emotional wins. Russell Wilson playing well. I'll start with you, Mac. Who do you got in this game?
I got the Minnesota Vikings, man. They've come back to life, man. They're doing everything they can to try to keep pace with the Detroit Lions. I still think it's not going to be quite enough to keep pace with that team to catch the Detroit Lions. But at the end of the day, they're making a strong push to get into them playoff the postseason and hang on to a wild card spot. So I'm liking what Minnesota's doing, and like you said, the acquisition of Joshua Dobbs has definitely made a difference. But I can answer Wells' question real quick for him, man. I would definitely this week, looking at the matchup based strictly off the matchup, I would definitely go with Antonio Gibson. He could have a big day, especially at least in the air. A lot of screen passes I would expect to go his way. A lot of just passing, just playing against the New York Giants. Just that's enough said. Just I would go with Antonio Gibson.
Antonio Gibson. Anyways, so next guy that we have, Zion. Who are you picking and why?
Yeah, well, I'm gonna double down on my Broncos pick here. Now, Minnesota is on a 5-win streak. San Francisco being one of those teams that they're beat, but you got the Broncos that just their last losses against their division opponent in the Chiefs, and then after that they did get a victory, I believe, against Green Bay. I believe they played the Chiefs and then the Bills. I just think that they have a better defense than Minnesota. Their offense, the Jerry Jeudy came to life. Cortland Sutton came to life. Williams is coming to life. I just got done talking about Seattle not having chemistry. If you look at the Broncos and watching their obviously they're not as good talent wise as Seattle, but I kind of feel that Sean Payton is kind of the players are starting to buy in on what he wants to do. That being said, I have the Broncos here. I just think that the defense is going to end up stopping the Minnesota Vikings, and they're going to get the fourth victory straight, and Minnesota will drop to the five winning streak. So give me Denver Broncos here. I think Sean Payton is actually having this team playing where he wants to them playing. It all comes down to those two running backs that he has and Russell Wilson, and their defense. I'm going to say it again. Go look at Patrick Surtain, man. He's playing like one of the best cornerbacks in the league right now. This guy is shutting down Rippins every single Sunday. This guy is shutting people down.
I do happen to like those points you make, and it kind of makes me want to lean towards picking the Broncos, but I'm not. I'm picking the Vikings. The Vikings. I believe their defense is coming through with Brian Flores. And I think they're gonna put up a good game. Now, game.
I think Mac had something to say.
Hold on, real quick. Let me real quick. Just well, I didn't realize Antonio Gibson was probably not going to play. I didn't know he got hurt last week. He had a big game last week. I didn't realize he got banged up. So I guess you got your answer then. I guess you got to go Darrell Henderson if you don't have any other option. But that game away on the Rams possibly, and they can go away from running game. He's not really much of a factor in the passing game for the Rams. So, but I would probably look for the waiver wire and try to probably pick somebody up. Honestly,
well, probably too late. Waiver wire is probably closed. Sorry, we gave you this information too late. Wales, good luck with Darrell Henderson. As we get to the last game of the week, probably one of the games I've circled on this week's schedule, Eagles Chiefs in Arrowhead Stadium. I've picked the Eagles every week, I think every week. This week I have not picking the Eagles. I think they suffer another loss. Give me the Kansas City Chiefs in Arrowhead against the rematch. I think they want to go out and prove that they are the better team than the Eagles, because the Eagles kind of had a good offensive day against them. So I think the Chiefs defense wants to get a little revenge. But that's why I'm picking. Zion, who do you got?
I hate doing this, man, but I just think that the Eagles are better. I get it. I know they have Mahomes. I know they have Kelsey. I know they have a good defense, but I just think that the Eagles are a better talented in-season team. I like the magic in the playoffs when it comes to the Chiefs. In season, I'm gonna ride with the Birds here. Please roast me, Giants fans, but yes, I'm gonna go ride with the Eagles to come and upset Kansas City.
Mac?
Nah, I'm definitely going to Chiefs here as well. I think.
Yes.
I mean, obviously the Eagles are a very good football team, obviously, but I just think
You
the Chiefs
feel the hate flowing through.
It's nothing like playing an inspired Patrick Mahomes, man. Like as if this guy needs anything to fuel his fire. Coming off that loss from a couple weeks ago, I think that's gonna just have him out there fired up and ready to go out in Kansas City. Not saying Chiefs that Eagles wouldn't be ready, but I just like that. I like the Steelers here, man. Absolutely,
and
the Steelers, the Chiefs.
Kansas City.
The Chiefs, the Steelers, and well, you did pick the Steelers, so that's why they're probably on your mind. Oh no, you didn't pick the Steelers, but
I was just looking. I was looking at the thing real quick.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our picks. We're going to find out next.
Wait, we need a tiebreaker. So what is your score prediction?
Monday night score. What do you have the score? Are we doing the total score? Or are we doing the like team individual score?
We'll do total score because the closest it's like the Price is Right with the total score. The closest
how many points? Just do how many points.
Yeah, exactly. Total how much points?
Okay, so I'm going to go out on a limb and say 70 total points are going to be scored in this game.
I'm going to say 51.
Jesus.
Yeah, it's going to be explosive.
I think both of these defenses are way better than we're giving them credit for right now with those score totals. I'm sorry, guys.
51.
I'm going to go
what are you talking about here? I mean, we're talking about it could easily be 38-31. I mean, that gets 70 points. You know what I mean? Like,
it could, but I don't see. I'm not seeing. I'm seeing two really decent defenses. I'm going way less. I'm going like more in the 47 range, 46. 46 points.
Well, we probably won't need this because there won't be a tie next week. But if there is, it'll be good to see. It'll be
if
fun.
we tie and then
Justice-
the score is like 9, Mac wins.
How much did you say, Mac?
Wells, I said 46.
46.
Wells, Justice Hill just played last night though, so he's not eligible this week. You're not going to be able to pick him up to play this week.
Well, you need to go do some research, Wells. Mac does not have a segment on fantasy. We're going to bring that in, incorporate that maybe in next year, give you guys some fantasy tips and updates. Just because that seems like you guys would need that. Wells, you're clearly not going to win your league this week, but we wish you luck nonetheless as we go. And that concludes our pick segment of the week. Ladies and gentlemen, hope you enjoyed that segment as much as I enjoyed trying to give that segment to you. Fellas, thank you so much for participating. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Hope you guys enjoyed. Give it back to Mac.
Well, all right, man. It's been another great show. Thank you guys for all tuning in to another edition of the Premium Takes Podcast. Wells been holding down the chat the whole way, man. Appreciate you, man, coming in. And if you don't mind, you drop that link again one more time for that video, the Big Blue Crew at MetLife Stadium. Much appreciated, man. Everybody, if you haven't seen that video, definitely check it out, man, because it was super dope. It was produced by Wells' wife, man. She did a great job hooking it up for us, man. And it was definitely awesome, man. It was an awesome night, awesome day up there at MetLife, even though it was pouring down rain, the weather was nasty, the game was ugly. We still had a great time chopping it up with everybody, man. And we got some cool footage, man. As you'll see in the video, if y'all check it out, just click on that link, check it out, man, and enjoy. This has been another edition of the Premium Takes Podcast. I'm MacDaGiantsFan. That's Adam Costas. That's Zion Zenith. Throw them fours up for our guy, NYG Jeffy T, man. Always representing with us, always here with us. No one's ever taken his spot from the table, man, ever, man. It's always going to keep that seat warm with him, man. And at NYG Jeffy T, we love you, baby. Rest in peace, man. This has been another edition of the Premium Takes Podcast. Hey!